This podcast contains adult themes and language. The views expressed here are our own opinions and experiences. We are not medical professionals.
In this podcast, we discuss our opinions about mental health, sobriety, addiction, and our pursuit of happiness and peace. This is Sober Mind.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
That's not how.
Good morning, all.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Lee. That's not how I usually start the show, but I'm going to just be very, good morning, Undertaker. 44.
morning.
Welcome to the show. Okay. My name is John.
My name is Judy.
And this is Sober Mind, where we have grown folk conversations about sobriety and mental health.
And today is mental health.
Yeah, man, today's mental health discussion. So we will we'll start with gratitude. Man, I really got to pick up the energy.
That's okay.
Well, I'll have a discussion.
It's all right.
Just
They'll figure it out.
yeah, I'll be very candid about it.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So my gratitude is I am grateful for the people around me who make me the person that I am. The people who support me, the people who love and care for me, and even some of the haters out there. They just give me a reason to learn and grow. So I'm grateful for that.
Who are the haters? The comments that we get on the channel?
I don't. Sure.
Yeah. Or just in general?
Just in general. I mean, I don't have any specific person right now.
Haters gonna hate.
They got to do their job.
Yeah.
It just makes me realize that they're actually not, they're angry, but underneath that is pain and hurt. So, you know, it if anything, it just brings up compassion for them.
Yeah. Hey, Lee, thank you so much for joining us again. Hey, Mom. And okay, Joe, got it. Nice. I'll be looking. Yeah, Joe's a mortician.
Oh, cool.
So I'll be looking. Well, okay, let's just jump into it. So, Judy, how has your week been?
Well, last Friday I had, not yesterday, but a week before, I had shoulder surgery. So my shoulder is a little uncomfortable. Let's just put it that way. I had the bone scraped. I had a section of my clavicle removed. I had a nerve unpinged, and I had my bicep relocated with a section of it taken off because it was frayed.
Basically the same.
Oh, and I had a repair done to my rotator cuff because there was a slight tear. So yeah, basically the same surgery you had.
Yep.
I don't know how it happened where you went and got the same. You went and got shoulder surgery, and then not up 2 months later, I'm going for the same surgery.
Well, when I was in the waiting room yesterday, I was listening to a couple folks in there, as I do, because I'm an eavesdropper, just jumping in on societal discussions.
You've been dropping those eaves.
Yeah, dropping those eaves. I mean, Dr. Freevert does like this same thing.
Yeah.
To a bunch of people our age. I think it's just like once one of those things happens, it just is natural de-evolution in the shoulder. All of those things just start to happen. And a lot of people go for years and just don't get it addressed because they may not have the health benefits that we have. We're very
plus
fortunate for that.
sometimes those things, they can have a tear in their rotator cuff and they won't even know because it doesn't register as any pain.
Yeah. Yep. So you've been doing good. You've been doing pain management as you should, and I have been unrealistically hyper focused on that. So, you know, Judy had taken some pain pills because it's a very painful surgery, and I internalize this way more than I should because it scares me. So,
because of all of your family have all died from ODing on opiates.
Yeah, of the exact same pills. Mm-hmm. So I had the pills prescribed. I ended up taking one and I got high and it kind of scared me. So I just didn't anymore. So I think I've unrealistically put those same expectations on you, which is not fair at all. And I've explained that to you, so I apologize.
Well, plus you've also seen me go down that path when I broke my ankle.
Yeah.
Of course, we were both in the middle of our disease, drinking all the time, at that point, I was taking Norco, which is like Vicodin times 3, and drinking on top of it.
Hey, Lisa.
So at that time, I can fully understand why you would think, because I was starting to take them without being in a lot of pain. I was just starting to take them.
Because they're delicious.
They just make you feel absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So I can understand why you would go down that path. But I think since we've sobered up and we've built up our toolbox and we've got those tools to go through these types of situations to where we're confronted with having surgery, being in a lot of pain because there's a bundle of nerves that are up there that they have to deal with that causes all the pain. Besides scraping the bones, we still have to deal with
scraping bones.
Yeah,
it's a new heavy metal song.
I was gonna say that's the name of my new heavy metal band. We still have to deal with the addictive personality. We still have to deal with the addictive traits in ourselves that could easily just put up a whole bunch of fuck it's and take it, and that's it. We're back off the wagon, and well, since I'm doing these, I might as well have a drink. You know, it just kind of goes in that pattern. So being an addict, having to go through this and know that I have those addictive personalities, I have to be hyper focused on taking any kind of opiate or pain medication. And if I can do it, I'm going to take Advil or Tylenol.
Yeah.
More likely Advil. But if it gets to the point to where I am at such a high level of stress because of the pain, I'm now counteracting every kind of healing thing my body is trying to do. So at that point, I take, a pain pill. But I can go sometimes if I'm just relaxed and I'm not doing anything. I can go all day without having to take a pain pill. And I've done it. Yesterday I had to take one, and that was during the afternoon. That's because I was doing a lot, and even taking a shower and getting dressed is a lot. So,
yeah.
But that was it. That was just enough to drop me down, so it drops my stress level down. It gets the pain under control. After that, I can take Advil and not have to worry about it. But I can understand why you would go down that path, because you've seen me go down that path before.
Yeah, so thank you for having the patience with me. And again, I will continue to work on recognizing these things with myself. It's the projections. I've done that all of my life. It's an anxiety thing. It's a protection thing.
It's a control thing.
It's a control thing. So I'm aware of it. It's fucking wildly uncomfortable to watch other people do something that can inebriate or harm. It gets so dramatic up here with it.
Yeah.
Hi, Daniel. Welcome to the show. Okay. So my gratitude is, I don't have anything elaborate this week, even though I usually have elaborate gratitude in general. Lately, it's just been sort of a struggle bus for me. So my gratitude is for you and your patience and your grace that you give me. So I appreciate it. Okay. I've started a whole blackout tattoo project. So I'm covering my entire military career, covering that up.
Why are you doing that?
Yeah. So I've had the utmost respect for this beautiful tattoo of memorializing my military career. But as I've worked on addressing things and letting go and forgetting the past, and working on child abuse and military PTSD, since I've gotten sober, this visual aid has become distracting to look at every day if I'm trying to forget something. And
not forget necessarily, just move past.
Yeah, just move past into a new chapter. And since I like tattoos, I'm going the whole blackout route, and then I'll end up doing white stuff on top of it. But I don't know. I think this has been very drastic for me too. This is a very bold way to do a cover up. So anyway, hey Grant. So that's the path I'm going. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. I have been depressed for 3 weeks. I was about to say it came out of nowhere, but it didn't. I felt it coming on 3 weeks ago. I was going over to Brian and Kim's to help them with some yard work. And as I was driving, I got done with my run, and I just felt this, what I can only describe as a disassociation, like a real high level cloudiness coming on. And I tried to think my way past it, like I'm having a funky day, it'll pass. I came home and showered, and it just kept ramping up. The next day, it kept getting darker and darker and darker. And then I started to become frightened. Like, God damn it, I haven't relapsed into depression in a year.
It's been a while. And
I've had really good success with where I've been. It's been a year and a couple months since I've gotten completely off antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications too. So
while you were going through this, did you have a fear that you were going to have like an anxiety or a panic attack?
I did have anxiety attacks at work, not panic attacks, but those are when I texted you like I'm in really bad shape. Just walking into the fucking office building, man, it gets so overwhelming, and it cascades. And I could sit in my truck and breathe and
try and do the tools that you've had to come. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the chemical imbalance of my meat chunk up here, my meatball,
your meatball.
It's just, I sit there and it's like, son of a bitch, man. It's like I can feel it coming on, and there's nothing I can do to think or exercise or downward dog my way out of it. And then I just hope that it passes. And then the next day I woke up and it had amplified again. I woke up and I cried in bed. Mm-hmm. Just sorrowful.
Yeah.
Desperate, hopeless crying.
And on the other end of that, there's nothing somebody watching somebody just go downhill, and there's nothing that you can do about it, is terrifying. It's terrifying. I mean, I wish I could take it away from you, but I couldn't.
I know.
And there's no suggestion that I could make that could help you, because I tried. The only thing I can do was to tell you that I love you and I'm here, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so if you know somebody who is going through depression, that's all you can do is just be there. Tell them you love them. Tell them they're okay.
Yeah. Give them space and maybe tell them it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
Or ask them if they want to be alone for a while too. Believe it or not, just be alone with their thoughts. Okay, so I'm at the tail end of it, and what I mean by that is the massive level of darkness had passed, and now it's just been sort of gray for the last couple days. So I went and saw my doctor, my primary care practitioner, the other day. But before that, hold on, let me gather my thoughts here. I started researching on the search webs, the Googles, they call it. Oh, hold on, heads up. Judy and I pay for a search engine now called Kagi, Kagi, about $4.99 a month. It's
advertisement.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Remember, folks, if you're not paying for something, you are the product in information technology.
Oh, heck yeah.
So anyway, I searched for, out of sort of desperation, okay. When I was on antidepressants for the year-long cycle, with just to give some backstory, SSRIs, SNRIs, it's not like an Advil. You can't take it and then feel an effect. You need to take. No. It's a 4 to 6 week bake-in period, which is wildly frustrating. And so for me, that seemed to actually stretch in the more something like 6 to 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. So when I started, I took Zoloft. And then I was feeling really bad depressive episodes, so my psychiatrist put me on Abilify on top of which is a mood stabilizer, antipsychotic. Fast forward, those weren't working, so I was on Prozac and Abilify, then just Prozac, then Effexor and Wellbutrin, and then Effexor and Wellbutrin plus Depakote, which is a mood stabilizer too, to the point to where I was just zombified. I didn't know what life was happening, and I was still depressed. I had the worst depressive episode. I couldn't get out of bed. I had suicidal ideation, which I told you about immediately.
Thank goodness.
And then I quit all that shit. Cold turkey. Do not recommend. I'm not a doctor, because that was pure hell.
Not recommended to quit those cold turkey.
Yeah, and it can be dangerous. So I got off all of those, and I got back, and it took a couple months, and I got back to a baseline, and I felt well. I felt better than I had since before I got sober. And so that's where I've been. So I had a couple, maybe little stumbles, I would call it, of having light depressive episodes for a couple days. But and then those became far and few between.
Yeah.
And I've been, a couple months ago, I acknowledged, I was at work. I was like, man, I think this is it. I think I'm no longer going to be depressed. I think I beat it.
And then wham.
Yeah. So that's the official I think, diagnosis of a relapse into a major depressive episode, which is what I have. So I started searching the other day because, you guys, I can't go through. Number one, staying in depressive episodes is physically unhealthy for your brain.
Yeah.
It causes brain shrinkage.
Especially in your prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, it's not healthy. So,
which is where all your rational thinking happens. Because your other stuff, the amygdala is now overproducing cortisol and all the funky stress hormones, which is in turn, it decreases the amount of stuff going on in your prefrontal cortex, which means you cannot be rational, you cannot be logical. Especially when you're in deep depression, it's very hard to be logical and rational because you're so overwhelmed with everything else.
Yeah. So, yeah, Grant. No, this happened just out of nowhere. I've been fine at work. It was just, yeah. Hey, good morning, Michelle. So I started searching because I started to get desperate. So I started searching for modern antidepressants that are not SSRIs. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that came up was something I've heard about and been curious about for a long time, and that is ketamine therapy. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple different ways to do ketamine therapy. The route that I'm going, which is legal in the state that I live in, Missouri, we live in. Mm-hmm. This is legal in a lot of states. It is called low-dose ketamine therapy, and it's a daily prescribed lozenge. So before I get into it, what I want to do is start to talk about this, and I'm going to be giving live updates on my daily shorts about how this goes. And then every week with our show, it's not going to be all about ketamine, but mm-hmm. I'm going to be giving some pretty in-depth updates on how it goes for me, because this has been deemed to be a miracle antidepressant. Mm-hmm. Number one, it takes effect immediately. Yep. And two, it gives you a mental space to do your own therapy in, if that makes sense. So I'll talk about it more in a sec.
Now, is ketamine addictive?
Ketamine is not addictive unless you do it in extremely high doses.
Okay.
So let's talk about what ketamine is. Ketamine has been an anesthetic that's been around for 50 plus years. Mm-hmm. It has so the street level dose, and I'm kind of making this up, but I'm not making it up, but it's dependent on how high of a tolerance you have. It could be like between 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams. So there's folks that take a lot of ketamine. It's a party drug as well. Okay. At those doses, but at high doses, a lot of things can be party drugs. Yeah.
Molly.
Yeah. MDMA, which, those are becoming very popular in antidepressant and PTSD treatments as well.
In lower doses.
Yeah, lower doses. Okay. So anyway, so very high milligram for a super psychedelic experience. Let me go through the different treatments that are available. You can go to a doctor. This is extremely expensive. And you can get IV psychedelic ketamine treatments, mm-hmm. which I think is like, I don't know, 1,000 milligrams that they give you in an IV. You have to have a sitter with you. So a doctor is there watching you for 2 hours. They monitor your blood pressure because it's going to spike. And you go on a wildly dissociative psychedelic trip. Mm-hmm. And you do this several sessions at the doctor's office. That sounds super non-attractive to me. That's kind of the last place that I want to be.
No.
So the next one is a nasal spray, esketamine, it's called, ketamine, and that's a lower dose, but it is also monitored within the doctor's office. It's the psychedelic version of that. Then the other two, the home-based therapies, one is called Mind Bloom. They are not legal in Missouri because your starting dose, I think, is 400 milligrams, and you will have a psychedelic experience, and you have to be monitored like via the internet, mm-hmm. which is kind of cool but kind of creepy.
It's
So-
probably a lot like acid.
Yeah. Well,
Tune in, turn on, and drop out.
it's not. Well, I don't want to say that because it's not anything like that. That experience, ketamine and LSD are vastly different. So yeah, I don't want to give that comparison to it. But anyway, the route that I'm going is a low dose ketamine therapy, and the company that I'm going through is not sponsored. We were not associated with them. They're called Joyous, Joyous. And this was the most attractive option to me. They send you have to do a consultation. You have to fill out medical forms. They're based out of San Mateo, California. And they do check with the national database to see if you're already prescribed narcotics and ketamine. So they make sure that you're not double dipping somehow.
Yeah.
And you go,
Which is good.
Yeah, very necessary. You go through a consultation. Very nice nurse dude that I worked with. Very professional, very eloquent and knowledgeable about this stuff. And he was also a patient, which is reassuring. Anyway, so they're sending me, they're called troches. It's a pack of 30 doses. They're lozenges that could be cut into quarters very easily. And my starting dose will be 15 milligrams.
Which is super low.
Yeah, well, and I guess, but it's pretty heavy hitting. It is ketamine. So what they like you to do is...
Now, these won't cause any kind of psychedelic for you.
No. The process with these lower doses is called psycholytic. And from the forums that I'm on and looking through the pre-work that I'm supposed to be doing, is that the initial dose is sort of akin to maybe giving you a feeling of tipsiness, like drinking a glass of wine. But what's so attractive about this is, okay, so then you do the 15 milligrams, then the next day you got to check in, and they ask how it's going, blah, blah, blah. And then more than likely they're going to raise the dosage up a little bit. So you do that on your own. And from what I've seen for the majority of people, and it's also body weight dependent too, with the dilution of it, is a lot of folks have on the forums have gone up to like 60 to 80 milligrams, and that's just kind of where they stay. Joyous will not prescribe you anything more than 120 milligrams. And then that's still in the psycholytic area, not psychedelic. So,
Which is good.
Why I'm excited about this is that, number one, within the first 15 minutes of taking ketamine, your depression symptoms will be lifted. They're not gone. This is not a miracle. But myself and like others in my position that suffer from depression and anhedonia and dysthymia, which is basically just a lack of interest and no longer getting joy from certain things or anything in life. Yeah. What this does is, so I'm going to be down here. I'm going to have a pillow and my yoga mat, turn the lights off, listen to binaural music through some headphones. I have all the tools available to me now. What I've described even to my doctor was, I've got this rucksack full of equipment and I'm ready to head out and do good, but I can't get out of the door. That's what it always feels like. It's like I'm stuck with all this information in my head, but I've got nowhere to work with it on. What ketamine therapy does is it allows you to create an open space and immediately relax, and so you can put aside anxiety and put aside depression
and start working on the meat of the issue.
Set those things aside set those little things aside for a moment. Grab your little paintbrush and start to.
We're gonna start working on this little tree. Right?
Yeah, just work on a little tree.
It's a little tiny tree.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. I'm excited. So Daniel says, you're also a non-responder for antidepressants. One interesting thing about antidepressants being a non-responder to antidepressants is a strong indicator for bipolar disorder. Yeah, Daniel, I heard that before too. My psychiatrist said that I may have bipolar 2, which is a lesser form of regular bipolar. But, man, because it feels like it too. So maybe Daniel will appreciate this. Remember I told you that before I got into this depressive episode,
You were really happy.
I was really happy. Not manic happy, but maybe almost getting there. Like when I was on antidepressants, I was like, shit, I am way too normal. I'm this life felt a little bit too good. And that's the frustrating part about being able to modulate myself with my own self, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Is that I'm so cognizant of this, and I know when it's happening. So anyway,
Which is a good thing, because then you're able to do some form of regulation instead of just allowing your emotions to rule the roost.
yeah.
I mean, because I do think that you do some form of regulation. It's hard, and then the depression still takes over, but at least you're aware of what is happening instead of just blindly jumping in.
Yeah. And I've more and more realized, and I think this will be for the audience to sort of ponder, is that, so I had an unrelated doctor's appointment with my primary care practitioner yesterday, and I told him day before yesterday, and I told him that I was doing this, and he was very supportive, even though he doesn't know much about it. So he wants me to have a video call with him in a couple months to check in and report on how it's going. Because I did tell him that if I'm going to give this a good 6-7 month, some people end up maybe taking like a 80 to 100 milligram troche like once a week after that, maybe forever. So we'll see. But if this isn't the right path for me, the next step for me is going to be ECT, which is electroconvulsive therapy, basically shock therapy. It's come a long way. My doctor said that he's a veteran as well. He was a combat surgeon. He's seen some shit.
Yeah.
And him and I were stationed in the same place, not at the same time, but a couple of same areas in the Middle East. And he said that ECT fell out of favor 15 years ago because it was still more of a shock therapy, and it had some weird response
Well, I'm sure
rates.
there's some stigma attached to it as well.
Oh yeah.
Some societal stigma.
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah.
But anyway, he says it's come a long way, and it started to really pick up the last 10 years, and it is wildly successful. Like, with ketamine and other things, they say there's 80-something% success rate and creating relapse situations for this stuff. He was saying ECT is up around the 90 percentiles. So, and it's got really, really good response to rates for PTSD and depression. Apparently, a lot of combat veterans have been utilizing this for a while. But sadly enough, again, I don't know why this bullshit stages are here. Like even with ketamine therapy, they want you to have tried to undergo medication-based therapy with other antidepressants first. But I'm frustrated because it's been proven they don't understand the mechanisms of how SSRIs even work. And you have to do such a long trial period for them. Okay. And again, I always like to remind folks, in the beginning, they seem to help me. I am not discouraging you from looking into modern antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications.
But I would think that for 70 to 75% of the people who take these medications, these are temporary based medications. They're not really they're meant to get you to a point to where you can work on whatever the underlying issue is and then eventually taper off of them. But they never really go through that. They never really talk about that at all. They don't talk about when they're prescribing them to you, how to get off of them.
Yeah, they don't talk about the exit strategy during the internal bake-in period. It's not something that comes up. They don't even want to discuss it. I went through that with doctors, psychiatrists. Like, what do I do next? They're like, I don't get paid to be a fortune teller.
Yeah.
It was like, I want to know what's next. We'll just have to see how this works. Okay, then what if it does? Well, then we'll cross that bridge when I get there. I understand that, because that's the same response I would give, but that's not what people with mental health issues want to hear. A lot of us would like to figure out a path of success forward, because we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, dealing with it for a long time. I would like to hear them say, okay, this is our plan. Like you said, we're going to start you on this. And then I want you to go to therapy and start working on what your problems are. And then when you're at a point to where you think you can handle life now, we'll start talking about tapering you off.
Yeah.
But that conversation never comes up.
Nope. Even with you, when you went through it, same thing. So there you go. 100%.
2 out of 2.
Yeah, and so let's go back. I want to talk about my lifelong. Hold on, don't leave the channel yet. They're like, oh shit, here goes John with a 30-minute life discussion. I'm not. I just want to paint a picture of why I am this way. I had a really good discussion with my primary care practitioner, and it was sort of revealing to me, because he said. He really took some time, and he stood back and he leaned against the counter and he said, John, we've never really talked about this, because he doesn't like to talk about it. He sends me to therapists and psychiatrists because he's not a mental health doctor. So he goes, when did it start? And I said, Dr. Hale, I think I've been depressed all of my life. Said, yeah. I said, I think I recognized that anxiety and depression started when I was 10 to 12. Mm-hmm. You ready? What the trigger? This is going to shock a lot of you, okay? Just brace yourselves.
I don't think we'll be shocked. I think we'll be able to handle it.
I don't know. It's pretty mind-boggling that this could happen. Are you ready?
Go for it.
All of this started when I started becoming physically and mentally abused by my mother.
What? Shocker.
Oh.
No.
Yeah. Okay, we make light of it, but that's when I felt it. I felt it start, and I was never the same. And then, then get sent to Fort Benning, Georgia, and learn how to kill people, and then go to foreign lands, and then got out. And I was an alcoholic forever. Mm-hmm. So,
well, at that point, you didn't have anybody to help you deal with the trauma that you were going through. There was nobody to help you, so you had to figure out a way to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And I would assume anxiety and depression were those ways of how you coped with everything that was going on in your life at the time.
Well, or didn't cope, So fast forward to my adult years, Dr. Hill was very curious about this. I said, being a high-functioning depressive person and a high-functioning alcoholic were sort of my toolkits. I never drank to mask any depression.
No, when you were sad and you had depression, you didn't drink.
Yeah. Well, for a day or two.
Eventually, you drank, obviously, but
yeah,
if you were having a bad day, or you were really depressed, or you were just crying, no, you would not. I remember that you would not have a drink. That was the last thing you wanted.
Yeah, because I think it would exacerbate different forms of depression that I would have at the time. But okay, so let me articulate this in a better way. I never drank to mask depression, but I was always drinking so it masked the symptoms.
Yes.
Unintentionally. Whatever. I always say that, but fuck it. I don't know an excuse. Maybe it was intentional. I don't know.
Somewhere it was intentional. Because
when I was talking to Dr. Hill, the patterns were when you're in a state of drinking, you're depressed, you're getting a massive dopamine release and a serotonin regulation and endorphins, even when you're not drinking, because you know,
You're thinking about it.
I thought about this real hard yesterday as I was driving because it was Friday and Dad and I were out and all these cars were driving around and Dad's like, oh, traffic is busy. I was like, yeah, it's Friday evening. Everyone's going home to get that drink. That's you can feel it in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my excitement, not just on Fridays, but every day. It was from like 11 o'clock in the morning. There's this refrigerator buzz going on about, oh man, I can't wait to go home and crack open an Arrogant Bastard. And then it's just the ritual of the drinking. And then you're drunk and then you're waking up and it's just wash, rinse, repeat. And you're having good days. You're happy. Maybe is it because there's always like a dopamine drip going on. But then when I would binge drink, you know, you and I would see a 3 or 4 day weekend coming up, and that was
party central,
fucking full speed ahead. And you know, those mornings of waking up with anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
Those were brutal.
I think we thought that our hangovers, even though we were hungover, part of it was depression, but we didn't recognize that portion.
Yeah.
We just thought we were hungover.
Yeah. Feeling really bad. And then going out at 11 to one of our dive bars or whatever, and then having greasy food and
a big pint.
And several big pints. And then then being drunk, you know, before 2 p.m. again. And then it's just, it starts over. And there we were. So
I tell you what, it's nice to wake up early in the morning.
It is.
Actually see the sunrise.
Yeah.
And be sober.
Yeah.
It's a really nice feeling.
Yeah. And so to further that conversation, that was, people and myself find it interesting that I'm sober and then now I'm dealing with mental health issues. Well, because that's now I'm dealing with those.
Instead of just masking them with drink.
Yeah. It was, everyone knows that's been following this channel for a while, our little show here, that 2 months after I got sober, that's when the shit
hit the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Panic attacks, anxiety, depression. So here I am now, recognizing it and dealing with it. And
I'm very proud of you for doing that.
Thank you, babe. And like I told you several times now, maybe this is a cautionary tale to others out there. Try not to feel guilty or let your depression impact your self-esteem, because the last 2 days I've been going down a rabbit hole of feeling like I've really been a burden on my wife.
And what did I tell you?
Several things.
I said, don't take on the extra baggage of feeling guilty for being a burden on me. You're dealing with enough on your plate right now, and you're not a burden to me.
I know, but just like we all do, it's easier said than done.
Yes,
especially
it is.
When I want to be supportive of, you know, you're going through a tough time with your shoulder, and then see, I'm too hard on myself about this too, because
you forget to give yourself grace.
I know, I try so hard, but I just find myself moping and then being depressed.
It gets in a vicious cycle.
Well, it does. And then I'm like, man, now you ask me how I'm doing, and then I just have to say I'm depressed. And then I guess it's me reflecting or projecting too. And that is that if I was dealing with me, I'd be like, John, I fucking had enough with you, man. The depression, it gets exhausting for everyone around. Does
that denote the lack of love you have for yourself?
Probably.
Maybe that might be something you want to focus on too. Because that will also cause you to judge yourself and to not give yourself enough grace.
Yeah.
I do think that there is love there because you are searching for ways to get beyond this, to move through it, to process it. So I think you do have love for yourself, but there's an inner dialogue that is not beneficial for what you're going through right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know it's hard when you're going through depression to change that inner dialogue because it's a very, very loud voice and it overpowers everything else that's going on in your head. But you do take times to, put your ears on, meditate, have some quiet time. So you are trying. So I think that does show that you do have some love for yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that inner critic can be very loud.
Yeah. I have a lot to continue to explore and a lot to continue to work on.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just erase 50 or 40 years of non-development and 30 years of alcoholism and expect myself to just be the pinnacle of happiness.
Like me.
Yeah.
Which is so not true, but
so we'll figure it out. We'll get there.
Yeah. This too shall pass.
Yeah. Lee, thank you so much. Lee says she's feeling sad for me. I survived physical, and now your brain is trying to heal from all the shit that we went through.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, thank you, Lee. I don't. I'm in a. Well, I was just gonna say, don't worry for me. I'm fine. See, because that's what we do.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm just fine. See.
Yep. But I'm very optimistic about the ketamine therapy because it's gonna allow. So you said it. I try to meditate. I read and listen to self-help books.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that I think that's just it. I just need to, crack open that little shell to get to that point to where I can see the brightness and happiness and then do all of the work.
Mm-hmm.
I try so hard and it just doesn't seem to go anywhere. I get this level of happiness, then it just goes, you're not gonna anymore. No more happiness for you.
No more soup for you.
And I also have a mental roadblock somewhere of, okay, this is going to sound a little wacky, but just hear me out. Maybe yes, Lisa. Thank you, Lee. Maybe I don't know how to define it anymore. I don't. I overthink it sometimes, but then I underthink it, and I
have a feeling that you're too much in your head, which a lot of depressed people get. They get right in their head, and then they can't get out of their head.
Yeah.
They can't get out of bed. They can't get out of the house. They can't, just because it's so much of a struggle to just be in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
It's like walking around with lead bricks on your feet. It is a struggle just to function, just to get up and take a shower.
Yeah. I've been in that position, so I'm grateful that I haven't been there lately.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there are doctors.
I'm grateful too, because I would have dragged your ass into the shower. Because no stink, babe, no stink.
Yeah, no shit. But there are doctors that I've read. I consider them horror stories because I can only imagine it, and that is, they have some patients that get so depressive that their psychiatrists or doctors have had to call them in the morning and say, "Listen, I need you to at least lift yourself up and put your elbows behind you, so you're not laying down, just like as a first step to fucking functioning."
Yeah. That's severe depression.
That's a different level of completely destroyed receptors in your head, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel for them. At least I get up and I drag my ass out and I run a minimum of a 5K every day.
Mm-hmm. Which Ozzy's very grateful for.
Yeah. Ozzy will not tolerate not being run. So I'm grateful for that. But
that is quite a benefit. The dog gets right in your face.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with you, buddy, but we got to go.
It's like, let's go. We got to get it. So anyway. Yeah. So, and I know that maybe I don't have it so bad sometimes, but on the flip side of it,
it's still a depression.
It is. Because I get these glimpses of, I've told you this, like, I think since I've had the high functioning depression all of my life, that when I have these glimpses of, I'll do air quotes, normal feeling of happiness,
Mm-hmm.
That's just where I want to be. Like, oh, okay, this is happy, contentment, productive, motivated, restful, peaceful,
Mm-hmm.
easy to sleep.
Yeah.
Life is easy to handle. Regular, normal stressors in my professional life don't overwhelm me.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the times when they're there. I just want that to be my life.
Yeah.
And then people will say, John, that's not how life is. You have to have the good with the bad. It's like, well, I'm not sitting there just high as balls. I'm just normal.
Yeah.
I don't, then I think that's not fair either. I just want to be level, normal,
Mm-hmm.
that happy, that motivation to be able to wake up and listen to the birds chirp and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But the anhedonia or the dysthymia that I have, it's like as soon as I start to get happy, I just cry of despair and pain. People are like, what the fuck is happening with this guy? That's how depression is. It's like I'm searching for this happiness,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not there. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. That's where I'm at.
I do feel for all the people who have to go through depression, because there's a lot of people who go through depression, especially high functioning depression. They can still go through their day-to-day life, but they're like walking around with a cloud wrapped around their head, and that's just the way they're functioning. They put on the happy face, you remember the commercial with it, they're holding the happy face and they just kind of put it up in front of them. A lot of people do that because they're high functioning depressions. They just go through life, well, their portion of life at that time with their head in that gray cloud. They're still functioning, but they're not happy.
Yeah.
They go to bed, they go home at night and they crawl in bed and they cry until they go to sleep, or however they deal with, the depression when nobody else is looking.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart when I hear about people going through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are things out there like the ketamine, like, going and talking to someone, a therapist, even people who have to go on SSRIs or NSRIs.
That's both SNRIs, SSRIs.
Yeah. Even people who have to go on that, there are things out there to help them move past that depressive episode.
Yeah. Talk to someone. Start to talk to someone. Don't just
reach out.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to a friend, or even if it's just because you never know you never know when you reach out what life is going to throw back at you.
Yeah.
And it may be exactly what you need at that time.
Yep. You will not be happy power chugging a bowl of macaroni and cheese under the covers. It's going to be bad for you.
It's going to be bad for you.
Yep. See, Daniel understands. Yes, these glimpses, the normal feeling.
Yeah. for somebody who's not in depression, that's their status quo. That's their day. That's their normal. Yeah, this is good. I'm good. This is how they go.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap it up. That's all I got. Real quick. Judy went to her AA meeting the other day. Here's our coin collection, by the way. And an old drinking buddy of ours was there.
It was really funny because when I'm in AA and I see this guy and I was like, I know him, but I know him from when we used to brew beer and go to beer contests. So it was really weird seeing him at an AA meeting.
Yeah,
It was cool, but it was just odd. I was like, and he looked at me and he goes, do I know you? I said, yeah, we used to brew beer together. And he goes, oh, Lund. I went, yes.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that I talk about to where way back when I was on Facebook, he started to talk about his sobriety.
Life Invader.
Yeah, Life Invader. Started to talk about his sobriety journey, and that's when I unfriended him.
Yeah, because we were like, ew, no. We don't wanna... L.
Sober. Gross. Anyway, he gave Judy this coin to give to me. It's heavy metal themed, and it says, sober AF. We are not saints. Keep it simple. And on the back it says, one day at a time. Live and let live. Death, insanity, or recovery. So I thought that was pretty cool. Very thoughtful of him.
Yeah, that was very thoughtful of him.
Okay, y'all. Thank you so much. Tune in next week. I'll get another topic going here, but I'm excited to give a ketamine update.
Yes, I'm excited to hear the ketamine update.
Yep.
I'm excited to see how it'll help you. I'm actually very positive about it. I'm very optimistic about it. I think it's really going to benefit you a lot.
I do too.
With everything that we've read and seen, I really do. I'm really optimistic about it.
Thank you, babe. Thank you for your support.
Heck yeah. I'm in for life, baby.
Yeah. That's right. Me too. Okay. All right. Be kind to yourselves.
Be patient with yourself.
You are loved.
You are loved.
That's right. All right. See you next week, y'all. Bye.